Hello class, in this video I'm going to talk about an overview of the writing process. And so on our Moodle course page we have a document that has a very typical explanation of the writing process, organized like an outline, kind of top to bottom, looking at planning and pre-writing and its elements, writing and drafting and its elements, revision and its elements, and then editing and proofreading and then its elements. And you may see some instructors include a fifth step, which would be like publishing. That's when something is finished and you're going to send it to a magazine, put it on a website, etc. So I wanted to briefly walk through a way to think about this process and kind of imagine how it'll be used throughout the semester in major essays. So what if we imagine the writing process not as a top to bottom outline, but as a timeline? So it's kind of going horizontally from left to right, in general thinking about planning and pre-writing, then writing and drafting, then revision, and then editing and proofreading. So if we think about it this way, from like the start to the finish, in a beginning, middle, end way, we can make some judgments about how is best to work on a writing project, right? So the first thing you obviously have to do is plan and pre-write. So at this point, you're not even worried about any of the things you would be worried about in revision, certainly not in proofreading, and maybe not even in drafting. You're just saying, is this a good idea? Is there material there for me to write about? So you do want to think about what's your main topic. You do want to think about, is there enough supporting material for me to gather? But you're not really organizing it yet. That's going to be in your writing and drafting stage, where you're going to look at that idea and start to move from a place of pre-writing and brainstorming to having a single argument, a single thesis, drafting or laying out the organization of those ideas into paragraphs, and trying to think, do these paragraphs add up to a complete essay that makes sense? If you're in the writing and drafting process, might you need to go backwards and plan a little bit more? Might you need to generate some new ideas because of something you discovered while drafting? Yes, of course. So that's why this is a writing process, and it's not really a straight line from beginning to end. Once you complete a draft, you're going to move on to revision. And so when you're revising, you're looking at all those elements and seeing how they work together. Might you need to go back and rewrite a paragraph to make sure that the topic makes more sense? Might you need to go back and plan a couple of new ideas? Absolutely. And in fact, with revision, you're definitely going to be coming back to the writing and drafting stage again, because you may get feedback on one draft, and then you have to go back to the drawing board and do your second draft and maybe your final draft. Notice how editing and proofreading is really out at the very end. So if you've just finished a first draft, you wouldn't even be thinking about grammar or proofreading for commas, things like that. That's really the final stage after you've gone between writing and revision a couple of times, and you're pretty sure that none of your big ideas are going to really change. At that point, you're going to go through and say, okay, now I'm looking for grammar, word choice, commas, things like that. And you're going to be trying to really hammer down a final draft that looks presentable and looks professional for whoever's going to be receiving it, your instructor, an editor, a boss, etc. So I hope that's a useful look at the writing process. We're going to be practicing this over and over throughout the semester. But I just wanted to present this idea to you in a way that I hope will be useful to you as we begin our work.